I'm trying to figure out where we're holding over here. I think we're holding at Sivav actually on page 31.
Oh,
L'taisves beer. L'taisves beer. See that?
last week we learned.
Yeah, sure. We learned last week. Yeah.
Oh,
So let me give you the kitzer of what we learned last week. The Rebbe brought, we're learning, not the subject is not Tachrichim, the subject is Moshiach, but the application is Tachrichim. Okay, so the Rebbe gave a brand new pshat in this Gemara, in the pshat of what Rabbi Yochanan is saying. The Gemara is discussing whether you can bury a person in Tachrichim that have shatnez. So Rabbi Yosef in the beginning of the sugya says, yes, you can. And the reason is mitzvahs b'teilis, lasad lave. So he'll get up at Chiyas HaMeisim, there's no issue. Rabbi Yochanan says also that you can, and Rabbi Yochanan says, b'meisim chavshi, because when he's a dead, he's not chayiv in mitzvahs. So what does that mean? But how does Rabbi Yochanan deal with the time of Chiyas HaMeisim? So the Rebbe explained that the pshat is, Rabbi Yochanan is telling you, b'meisim chavshi mana mitzvahs means that lasad lavai, the existence, the mitzias of the mitzvahs will be, but they won't be tzivuyim. It won't be a command. You only have to command an entity that's separate of the commander. Lasad lavai, the unity of Yidden with the Eibusher will be revealed to an extent where there's no point in commanding. Yidden will do the mitzvahs at being one with Hashem. Automatically, it'll be expressed through them. So the Rebbe said here, Meir de Gevart, in the Pshara de Gemara, that when Yidden will get up, Lasad lavai, Chiyas HaMeisim, so then there won't be a moment that they'll be wearing shatnez, either because they'll automatically remove the shatnez immediately, or the Rebbe said even more so, a miracle will happen. A miracle will happen, and the shatnez will go out, or be removed from them automatically. It's impossible. It's a time in the world where it's impossible that there should be an inyan of shatnez. Because it's a time when the fact that you don't need a tzivui means that you're now one with the Eibusher. The whole world is one with the Eibusher. The Rebbe brought a raya for this concept from the Medrash that says, "Lasad lavai, if you try to pick a te'ena from a tree on Shabbos, it'll scream Shabbos hayom." That's the same thing with the shatnez. The shatnez lasad lavai, there won't be shatnez, so we don't have to be concerned about that. Okay, so here the Rebbe continues and explains, and this is what the Sikha began with, explaining the inyan that on one hand the Gemara says mitzvahs b'teilis lasad lavai, but on the other hand the Rambam teaches us halachas shel Torah. All the halachas of Torah are never bottled. So let's continue. Sivav. Taisvis beer for further explanation on this. Harei zeh mudgish. This idea explained there is emphasized. B'dio kalosh and debeza meimarim. If you look at the precise words of the two statements of Chazal, shalachayre seisrim zeh zelazeh, which seemingly are contradictory. One is mitzvahs b'teilis lasad lavai, that's saying that it's all going to be bottled. And then the other statement, halachas shel Torah ene b'teilim leilav. The halachas of Torah will not be bottled. So the words of Chazal are very exact. Achilok shebe mitzvahs l'Torah hu. What's the difference between mitzvahs and Torah? So b'chlal, what's the difference between them? Mitzvahs gidram hu. What defines mitzvahs? Utzivui la'adam ech l'snag ba'olam. It's commanding a person. He's living in this world. What do you do with this world? What does the Eibusher want should happen in this world? What should a person? How should he behave in this world? What does that mean? Hainut. The premise of every mitzvah is sheyeshna mitzias adam v'olam. There's a world that exists. There is a person that exists. Mitzvahs heim tzivoy eich yeh adam v'olam. And the mitzvahs are commanding a person how to behave and what to do with the world that he lives in. That's the idea of a mitzvah. So in other words, you can't say regarding a mitzvah that a mitzvah is based on the idea that the Welt is bottled with mitzvahs. There's no world b'chlal. If there's no world b'chlal, there's no mitzvah, there's no object of a mitzvah, there's no person. The whole concept of a mitzvah is relating to a level in a lakos that gives space for an existence of a world. If so, it comes out, ultimately, mitzvahs are not for the benefit, for the purpose of a person gaining by this, or the world gaining from this. It's the pure will of Hashem, whether the world gains something from it or not. That doesn't matter. Nevertheless, mitzvahs are still commands that relate to a reality where there's human beings in a world. The very fact that it's a ratzon that relates to a person in the world means that this is something that it's on a level where the world is a metzias. Shenkin Teire, on the other hand, Teire, what is Teire? Yichamuda Gnuza, it's Hashem's hidden treasure. Kaidim Shenivra and Teire exists before the world is created, meaning it's above, it's removed from the world. The ideas of Teire, the halachas of Teire, the point here is not instruction to guide a person how to live life. That's not what the essence of Teire is. We're talking about the Teire that exists before a world exists. What does it mean before? Before doesn't just mean that it's before in time, that the Eibishter has the ideas of how the world is going to look like in advance. Before means that it's higher. It's totally removed of the reality of the world. It's the will of Hashem as it's unified within the essence of the Eibishter himself. Anon nafshi, it says about Teire that nafshi. It's the Eibishter, the way he is to himself. Not relating to anything that exists outside of the Eibishter himself. That's what Teire is all about. This is the essence of Teire. I mean, there's other places where it speaks about other dargas in Teire. You have nigla of Teire, you have low levels of Teire. But here, the Rebbe is talking about the essence of what Teire is. Kadma la'ilam, it's very different than a mitzvah. So let's learn out of 49.
He also talks about things of this world.
Where? Teire.
Teire, yeah.
Correct.
Talks about the British part of the kin.
Yeah, true. So the Rebbe is here talking about the ikir, the essence of what Teire is and the source. In other words, the point here is there's many levels in Teire and there's many levels in mitzvahs. But when it comes to mitzvahs, even when you go to the highest and deepest level of a mitzvah, which is the deepest ratzon of Hashem, not for anyone's benefit, not for elevating the world, it's a pure expression of the Eibishter's deepest ratzon. Even when you come to the source of mitzvahs, still, mitzvahs is defined by the fact that it's a ratzon for something. It's relating to the mitzvahs of the world. When you go to the shaydish of Teire and its source, there in its source, it's a chemda genuza. It's the Eibishter, the way he experiences himself in his own world, in the reality of Atzmos, removed of anything. Right, so the distinction that Rebbe is making here is between Teire and mitzvahs and their shaydish, not once Teire and mitzvahs comes down. Let's see out of 49. So the Alter Rebbe says, that when you look in Teire, you see subjects that never happened, never will happen, and the Teire discusses it. That's even though much of Teire talks about things that are practical and relevant, but the fact that you see in Teire things that will never happen is an indication of what Teire really is, that in its shaydish, it comes from a place that's removed from this world. Regam Tanya Kuntisachen, the Alter Rebbe, they also says, being prate halachas l'shchichi klal. There's so many details you learn in Gemara about that will never happen. Never happened and never will happen. For example, I think the Alter Rebbe says, for example, different halachas of pigul. Carbon is brought, and you have the wrong machshava, all kinds of variations of how it happens. Never will happen, never will happen. So, might according to one opinion, right? Here the Rebbe brings, yeah.
Saita ever.
Yeah, I don't remember that it should say that it never happened.
Because it needs
It's complicated. Yeah, and Chanami has a lot of conditions. How okay, but
no, we need
yeah. Here the Rebbe brings from the Gemara Sanhedrin regarding Irani Dachas. Irani Dachas, never happened, never will happen. The Yeshleimar shebahalachas elu mizbata, in these halachas that never happen. So you may think, that's like sort of the exception of Teire. That's like the outcast of Teire. The Rebbe says, no, it's actually the other way around. These halachas express in Yonama Amiti shal halachas HaTeire. What's the real essence of all halachas of Teire? Kfi shem l'mayla mishaychas lo'ilam. The essence of halachas in their source is the Eibishter. It's only the Eibishter's reality, which is removed of this world. And when you see those halachas in Teire, they're not the exception. They express what really all halachas of Teire are. Halachas of Teire are not instructions for us how to behave in this world. It's the Eibishter sharing with us what's going on in his world, removed of our reality. That's the essence of Teire. Okay, back into the Sikhe. To put this in different words, on the level of mitzvahs, ha-mitzvahs and b'shvil ha'olam. So the mitzvahs are for the purpose of the world. That the world should behave and function in accordance with Hashem's will. So true, again, that I've already said before. The point there is not that the world should be a better place. That's also true about mitzvahs, right? You make the world a better place, and you're mitzaref the briyas, you refine the world. Not necessarily. It's about taking a world, and the world should become bottle of what it is, and the world should be in accordance. It should correspond to what the Eibishter wants. So l'chayra, I mean, this is the ultimate. It's not about bringing the Torah down to the world. Adarabah, the world is going to conform to what the Eibishter is. But nevertheless, it's still a level of that. There's a world that's going to be kefir tzayne. It's conforming to what Hashem wants. Torah is above and removed of the world. The whole world exists b'shvil Torah, which means this will of Hashem is in every aspect, in every way, it's revealed all over, including in the world as well. The world which is created will also express the true will of Hashem. But it's not. The point here is when it comes to Torah, the world is just an item. It's an item in Torah. It's a concept in Torah. I mean, from Torah's perspective, what's this world? This world is a Torah d'gemetzias. From our perspective, the world exists, and then you can utilize things for Torah or not. From the Torah's perspective, what's an animal? An animal has hide, and it can be used for the leather of tefillin and any other things. So every single thing in the world is just there in order to allow Torah to be fully expressed. It's fully expressed in the Gashmis of the world. But not that the world has any tefisas makam on its own at all.
Props.
It's like props for Torah. It's all a Torah d'gemetzias. The Rebbe would many times say, I need line of reisi el shamash is kaini, which means that the fact that you have an arm is because the Eibishter has a mitzvah of tefillin, and that tefillin has to be laid somewhere. Can't be in the middle of the air. So he has to give you an arm. So in order that you should have where to put your tefillin. So not like there's an existence of a metzias of a person at the hand. He can do this, he can do that, he can throw a ball. It's a chatchila made for tefillin. It's for the tefillin to come down b'payil. Okay, so now the Rebbe teaches up his move on. So now we understand shemitzvahs b'teilis lasad lavoi. When the Gemara tells us that the mitzvahs are bottle, and then the Gemara says halachas shal Torah ein b'teil lo'olam, that the halachas are not bottle. It's not the same thing at all. Everything will be elevated to this true reality that's above the existence of the world, to the Eibishter's reality. That aspect of mitzvahs, which relates to an existence of the world, will cease to exist. But the essence of mitzvahs, the source of Torah, the way it is in the Eibishter's reality, that cannot change. Adarabah. Also, that'll be nizgali even stronger. Yeah. The Rebbe has the diak in the Lashon of the Rambam. Take a look at Order 51. When the Rambam talks about the eternity of Torah, what's his Lashon? It's clear and explicit in the Torah. That mitzvahs are forever. Why does the Rambam say Dava Barar Mufurish B'Teira? He could just say Dava Barar Mufurish. It's clear that mitzvahs are forever. He stresses B'Teira. Shanitzchi is the Teira, the mitzvahs that is, the eternity of mitzvahs. Lasad Lava Yipnei Hayesa Mitzvahs HaTeira, because they're part of Teira. Mitzvahs themselves are on a level that relates to a mitzvahs of the world that's lower. But Teira, which is Kadma L'Olam, that reveals what the truth of a mitzvah is, and therefore that will be nitzchias, even lost of love.
We already explained this. This doesn't mean that it's not going to be around.
Correct.
So that why is it just a question?
No, the Rebbe is not answering a stira. What the Rebbe is saying, the answer that we gave already before, you see it clearly in the lashon, in the difference between mitzvahs b'teilos and halacha shel Torah and b'teil leilam, in the words. So if according to all of this, what's the meaning when Chazal say, today our job is to fulfill Torah mitzvahs, and then tomorrow, meaning after Mashiach comes, then it's only a time of reward, which makes it sound like that when Mashiach comes, the fulfillment of mitzvahs will be batal. It's just a time that the Eibusher is going to reward us. So what this means is, what's the reward? What does this mean? She's Gala Ba'adam Yisrael, Shemekayim HaMitzvahs, the Yidden that fulfill the mitzvahs, what will be revealed in them, Bal Yada, and through a Yid, Gam Ba'ilam, this will be revealed in the entire world, in Yonam HaAmiti Shel HaMitzvahs, the true essence of what mitzvahs are. That's the real schar of a mitzvah. Schar mitzvah, the real schar of a mitzvah, he mitzvah atzmas, the very mitzvah itself. This is the point that the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, and the Alter Rebbe says, what's the real schar of a mitzvah? The very connection and the very level that the mitzvah elevates you to when you fulfill the mitzvah, that's the schar. The Rebbe doesn't give us a schar as a side thing that he decides to give. Like you pay someone or you give a reward to someone, you can give a reward that's not related in any way to what he did. You give him money, you give him something else that's nice, a gift. Mitzvahs, the schar is an outcome, it's a teitzah tivis, it's an outcome of the fulfillment of the mitzvah. When you fulfill a mitzvah, you get elevated in the mitzvah. The ultimate schar of mitzvahs is lost at lavai, when we'll see the essence of mitzvahs. The essence of mitzvahs and Torah that's higher than the world. The entire existence of the world is just this, that it's a place that the ratzon of the Eibusha could be fulfilled. There's nothing else that the world is about other than this nakuda of being there to fulfill the Eibusha's mitzvahs. Okay, let's continue. Yesh lo'isef, another point we can add to this, she'in yizeh mudgish gam b'drashas chazal, she'halachas shel Torah einam b'teilim lo'ilam, the halachas of Torah will not be bottled forever. And Chazal add to this, brought earlier in the Sikha, af halachas einan asidin li bottle, halichas eilam loy. So where is it learned out from? From the pasuk halichas eilam loy, and we learn out al tikra halichas ela halachas, as we say it every single day in davening. Therefore, lo'ilam you. From here we know that it'll be forever. What is the meaning of this lashon halichas eilam loy al tikra halichas ela halachas? Why are we switching the simple reading of the pasuk? So you do a klal. The rule about this concept of al tikri. Whenever the Gemara says al tikri, why is the Gemara doing this? The Gemara is changing the words. What's the point? So the klal is as follows: Shalimud al tikri chulu ela chulu. Whenever the Gemara changes the reading, it's not coming to negate the simple pshat. It's coming to add another pshat, a shnei emes, and they're both true, right? Now here, the Rebbe will explain. Usually, the way al tikri works is when the pasuk says something, and it's hard to understand how you could fulfill what the pasuk says or what the pasuk means. Al tikri means to say that if you read the word a little bit differently and then apply it back to the simple pshat, you'll know how you can fulfill the simple pshat. One of the famous examples for this is when it says ma v'alekach Hashem mimach al tikri ma lemeya. So what does that mean? It says ma. Why should you read it meya? The answer is the pasuk is asking something which seems to be way too difficult. Ma v'alekach Hashem mimach kim liyira. Even though the pasuk is trying to say that it's just a small matter, no big deal. But when it says ma avaya, it's asking of you yiras Hashem on a very high level, especially ma. Ma refers to a high level of bittul. How do you achieve that? How do you get to that? So Chazal tell us, al tikri ma meya brachas. What's meya brachas? It's not a different Indian. Meya brachas is giving you the way how to fulfill what the pasuk says ma. Same thing over here with halichas and halachas. The word halichas and the word halachas are both true, as the Rebbe explains. When we read the pasuk as it meaning, and it means halachos, it's adding to what it says in the simple pshat halichas eilim lay. When we move on, shabalachas hatayra yeshnam beis inyanim dargis. There are two different inyanim in the halachas of Torah. There's aleph, there's the halichas eilim lay. There's the aspect of halichas that the pasuk literally says. And then there's al tikra halichas ala halachas. So what's the difference? What is the meaning of these two pshatim? The difference between these two pshatim is halichas eilam loy pirushai. When you talk about halichas eilam, the ways of the world, what this means is sheyeshna metzias v'hanhages halichas eilam. Halichas eilam meaning the ways of the world, meaning there's a world that exists, there's a world that functions. Upaulas halachas hatayra. So what is the idea of all the halachas of Torah on this level? That the world should behave and function according to Hashem's will. That we should see in actuality and revealed that all the ways of the world belongs to Hashem. This is the simple pshat of the pasuk, right? Rashi says during the pasuk, what does halichas eilam mean? When you see things happening in the world, don't think chas v'shalom that it's just happening on its own. It's the Eibusha's ways. That's one pshat on it. That's the simple reading of the pasuk on page 33. But now come Chazal and reveal to us a deeper pshat. Al tikra lichas ela halachos shemitzad dargas haTorah shekodma la'olam. Now there's the level of Torah that's higher than the world. Ein mitzias dalichas olam. Al tikra lichas. Don't read it as halichos. Don't look at the world and say, oh, there's a world that runs and functions and has its ways. Kiyem hamitzias the Torah ela halachos. You look at the world, what should you really see? You're seeing items that are there for the manifestation of Torah. That's all it's about. Chazal megala what the real kavan of the halichas olam is. The chitzonius, it looks like there's a veld, it's running, it's going. Of course, the Eibush is controlling everything in the world, but there's a world that exists. Come Chazal and say al tikri. That's not. Don't see that in the world. See the truth. See the fact that the world is just halachas. This, if this is the reason why, it's this pasuk which is the source for the eternity of Torah. When you read the simple pshat of the pasuk, speaking about the world that runs and functions with its ways, there's an existence of a world. So on this level, what's the idea of halachas? It's to have its impact on an existence, on a world that exists. So when you accomplish that, when you've elevated the world to its utmost perfection, so that's it. The world is perfect. There's no need for mitzvahs anymore. But that's all. When you talk about the level of mitzvahs that relates to an existence of the world, the mitzvahs are coming to perfect the world, to refine and elevate the world. But when you come to the level of al tikri, don't see the world as an existence. It's just all halachas, which means the entire existence of the world is there, so that the Eibish's Ratzah should be fully revealed in it. So then that's the source of the concept that mitzvahs are forever. Shenish eres hamitzias the halachas haTorah ba'olam. The mitzvahs of the halachas remain forever. Lo beifin shel peula tzivui ba'olam. It's not something which Eibush has to command or accomplish. This is automatic. It's the will of Hashem that's fully revealed in the world, and there is nothing in the world other than Hashem Himself. That's the ultimate revelation that will happen. So in order 58, the Rebbe adds, Yeshleima shemerumes b'diya kaloshen la'olam yiyu, that they'll be forever. Shekiyuman shel halachas hu lo rak b'Torah elagam b'mitzias ha'olam. La'olam yiyu means this will be fully revealed in the world. Before the Rebbe said that this you see this in Torah. This is what the essence of Torah is about. But that's not the Chiddush Lasad Lava. The Chiddush Lasad Lava is that it's going to be seen clearly in the Metzias of the world itself. Okay.
Again, it's the halichos and halachos is the same word.
It's the same word, but you're taking out a yud. You're taking out the letter yud.
For say,
Halichos is al tikra halichos al halachos.
Could have said it. But the reason why we have the word halacha is because it's a halicha.
It's a way of life, you mean?
Yeah, that you could have said there's you should do mishpatim, you should do chukim, you should do dinah.
Right.
It's not halacha. Why? Because it should become your halicha in life.
Okay, I hear you.